Friday feeling today, despite the very miserable wet weather. It's very, very miserable, but I do love a good bit of rain, so I don't complain. The only thing I don't like is how, like, this floor here, if my camera would focus beyond the glass, it's kind of like a gravelly dust kind of thing, and when it gets wet, it just, like, filthies up the inside of your car, as you can see. That does need a pretty good clean, to be honest with you. I mean, it's got friggin' Graham's bedding in the back. So hopefully I'm going to be able to get this message bus thing working at work. I've been having issues getting the client to subscribe to the queue. Yesterday I was having dependency issues and like things where and service bus like scans your assemblies for things that it thinks it cares about, and it was picking up things it didn't care about and then causing issues, which were like red herrings. It was an absolute pain in the arse. But hopefully today we can get that sorted. And then I could either do something else or extend that thing out, because there's like a couple of different things in that world that we need. It's a bit weird that that guy's just driven off, but you know. I also have an interview to do today. We're interviewing a tester, which is like the first time in a while that I've interviewed someone that wasn't like a .NET developer. Like, I know what I'm talking about with a .NET developer, because obviously I'm a .NET developer. I know what we do, I know what we like, so I can interview them. But this guy's a tester, a manual tester as well, so it's gonna be an interesting interview. But our automated tester has given me a good couple of questions to ask. He's loaded me up. It's gonna be one of those ones that's a bit more, because we normally have like kind of personal, get to know each other kind of questions, and then there's like a couple of technical kind of questions and all that kind of stuff, just to like see how you are. But obviously that doesn't exist as much when you're not a developer, and to be fair, it doesn't really exist as much as soon as you're not a .NET developer. Like, 'cause I've obviously done JavaScript developers before, but so I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a good fun one. But otherwise, it's just going to be a standard Friday. We're just going to try and churn out as much work as we can do. I'm thinking in my own head of drastically, not drastically, but simplifying yet again this problem on my old project where I know where it was going to go eventually, so I try and build that. And I shouldn't, because it takes too long and it's not necessary. So I was trying to set up my own authentication system where you can have like admins, and then you can have people that use that underneath it, kind of like a company structure style. But I don't really think that's necessary, so I'm just going to friggin' slap in authentication from someone else, an OAuth provider like Microsoft or Google. So probably Microsoft, just due to the target of my product. But I guarantee as soon as that product's finished, anyone who uses that product within the first year or two will have a Microsoft account, so we'll be pretty safe on that front. To be fair, everyone has a Google account, but that's by the by, it's not aimed at... Anyway, this thing I have that manages people's authentication, I'm thinking about dropping out because it's just a little bit too much work. It's just a bit unnecessary when I can let something else or do that all for me. So that's what I'm thinking about doing, but obviously that's a bit of a shift in like some of the things I've got to do. I've got to stop allowing this kind of like feature creep, and I've just got to maintain this level of like the bare minimum that works. Just make it nice so you can build that other stuff, but the bare minimum, get it out the door. Hurry the hell up. But yeah, now I've got some Azure stuff set up, which I set up last night, so I should be able to start things actually up and running at some point too, which means it's going to be friggin' good. But yeah, this entire week I've been running on less than 5 hours sleep, so I've been doing well. I've been doing well for it. But I'm thinking this weekend I might shift into a different sleep pattern. We'll see. It's super late today, but that's actually a good thing, because first fucking servers are down, so I can't even load the bloody tickets onto my phone. This is such a stupid app. It's so stupid. Just fix your like, you can't... I get annoyed at companies who try to do things but don't do it properly. Like, just fucking do it properly. If you're gonna do it, just make sure your servers are up all the time. It's unacceptable, to be quite frank. Problem is, if you transition from one city to a different city, it change. Like, I go to Bath at Bristol every day because that's where I live. It changes area, and then I can only see the tickets that I've got in Bristol. So when I come back and the servers are down, it's like, oh well, you're still in Bristol, you must be, because we can't see. So like the logic of the bus being about 10 minutes late, turning up, starting to pick people up, and then another bus behind it, driving up, not letting, well, just driving into the park and ride and then just turning around and going back. Like, what's the point in that? Why didn't you just let the first bus go with half the people on it and then take the other set? it baffles me. Like, and it's been getting like quite bad recently as well. It used to be alright. It used to be, I've never had any complaints. Like, I'm gonna be 15 minutes late and I was like 10 minutes away 40 minutes ago. It's insane. Right there was the fastest week in the history of weeks. Christ. Work is like so hectic. Interview went well and work in general went well. There's just like so much going on. It's just well, it's not exhausting, but it's a relief when you leave. Not enough time in a day though, that's for certain. We finished a good chunk of work though. Basically finished a user story, but at the very end, like, we just tacked on like an entire new chunk of work right at the end, which is semi-annoying, but I think I've managed to bully my body clock into successfully staying up till 1 every morning. I was going to have like a chill out evening with Laura, but Laura had like a headache, so she went to work, like, she fell asleep at 8 o'clock on the settee. I sent her back to bed at about 10ish. So I've been programming away. I've been having trouble getting connected to Azure Service Bus through mass transit. N-Service Bus and Mass Transit are two things that kind of abstract away all of the details of the message bus. Mass Transit is open source. N-Service Bus isn't as open source. We use N-Service Bus. I've always used N-Service Bus. I'm trying to see if Mass Transit will be good. Because I like it to a certain extent. It's quite clean and it's always good to see two different things. Also licensing, things like that on N-Service Bus scare me a little bit, whereas Mass Transit is like purely open source, so that's not a problem. Which I'm happy about. That's the main reason why I picked it, to be honest. I'm like racking my brains trying to get this token, authentication token, to run through it so that I can sync up with it. But I just can't. I just can't do it. And I don't know how or why. And it's 1 in the morning. So I feel like I'm just going to have to cave. Just gone to go get a haircut. We've come to town to do a little bit of shopping, and I've got my laptop to go do some work in the library. Can't just wander around town aimlessly while Laura gets a haircut again. It's also about to start to rain, so I'm going to go do a little bit of work. I managed to fix my connection issues. Turns out that I had the wrong Mass Transit's trying to set up, like, it's requesting permission to do things, and I had it configured so it couldn't. Would you just look at these autumn leaves falling off the trees, look, and casually forget about the fact that yesterday's vlog was friggin' basically non-existent. Basically just kind of forget that I do videos at the weekend. It's not great. I've been working on trying to figure out how to manage security. I'm working on like the security aspect of my platform, and I'm trying to figure out like the ways of ensuring that I don't give potentially bad actors more information than they need, and trying to like it's next to impossible to actually stop them getting certain pieces of information out, but you can like kind of slow them down. I've been trying to figure out a way of, because being able to actually query the identity frame, ASP.NET identity stuff is all buried down in the domain model. It's not inside the MVC controller, and it's not even part of the controller that you talk to. Like, there's public web, and then there's APIs in the background. The APIs you talk to via closed, like, only whatever, secure connections and all that shit. There's like all these things about like how much information you should give someone back for an error, for example. So if someone started just firing emails in the search for someone who had an account already, how do you manage that? What it is, you don't reply back to the user and say, oh, this email's already been used by someone else, please try a different email. You don't do that. What I was also trying to figure out what to do is how to manage that with like a username as well, because I want to allow people to have a username and an email, or you could just use the email for both, but how do you let someone know that a username has already been used? Because in theory, let's say that someone gets hacked, say someone like fucking someone who has used, well, it's a bit arbitrary, Twitter, a bit arbitrary because everyone knows what your username is, but Twitter gets hacked and then your password's available. Attackers can then start putting in usernames into different sites to try and figure out which usernames have that, and then you can attack via that route and all that kind of stuff. So you try and slow that process down by giving a kind of vague reason as to why that person's failing. It feels a bit like overkill. doesn't necessarily do much, because it will give you back the same error as it would if like something else had happened. But it's like a pattern that people have done. I've been like researching quite a bit of like what the different security patterns are for that kind of thing. Instead of saying outright, this username's already been used by someone else, you hide that information basically. The downside of course is that your UX is a little bit worse, but that's by the by. So yeah, I've been working on that, and I've also been working on, like I say, bubbling out this information from the domain model and allowing it to be propagated out towards the user at the front end, or via the API, two separate routes, well not two separate routes, but two different things. I was working on that quite a bit yesterday. We also did a little bit of shopping while we were in town yesterday, and then we went out. We went out for a meal with Beth and Ben, and obviously Laura, and then went for a couple of drinks afterwards, and then today we've kind of had like a worky day at home. I've done quite a bit of programming, finished off this stuff. I now have like half these things configured. They just need to start doing things. It's like I've built all the plumbing, which is the hard bit, and like decided all the patterns, and now it's just a case of like repeat it all out, get it all through, and whatnot. I'm going to start putting things on message buses and allowing message buses to start firing messages around, which is going to be dope. I'm looking at / hoping to use Azure functions to do some of the heavy lifting of things. Things that I've deemed I don't need. I don't personally need the things that I've decided I don't need to do, like say audit. It's really good to audit via a message queue, because auditing it's like guaranteed. As soon as it's on the message bus, it's guaranteed to happen. There's no point setting up a complete microservice just to audit. So I'm going to set up an Azure function to just listen to the queue and just go, okay, well, bam, audit. Instead of allowing like essentially a microservice to sit and do that for me. What a waste of time. If I ever need to bring that in, I can just bring it in. Same thing for sending emails. I'm just going to use Azure to send emails for me. It's probably easier, to be honest. I've got like maybe a day or two more of like configuring it up so I can put the messages on the queue, and then I'll set up the Azure function and run it through there. It's going to be good fun. I've been learning something new. Otherwise, today's been just cleaning, just chilling out. To be honest with you, it's been nice. I really enjoyed today. We're back to work tomorrow. I do need to sort out what do I need to sort out? Words, things, videos. I'm still technically behind on videos, because I believe the one with Graham and Is It In hasn't gone up yet. So I'm alright, but tomorrow night I need to render out the video that came before this. Otherwise I'll be delayed again. I'm trying to catch up. So overnight it like dawned on me, literally in my sleep. It's in a serverless architecture where you just have something that listens to a queue and then does something. Where are sagas managed? Because that lives outside of mass transit or in service bus. So maybe some things, like sending emails, where I need something that does sagas, I'm going to have a bit of a dummy like microservice in a way. I thought about it just a tad more. While that's an interesting problem which could come up in the future, for now it won't come up. The security service should be in charge of managing the sagas, because that's what it should do. Basically, at the moment, anything that is going to be run by an Azure function and therefore directly talking to Azure Service Bus instead of going via mass transit, all of those things won't be important enough to measure a saga. So auditing, you don't saga that, and sending an email, it's not important particularly, especially since the new security service is going to be the one that puts the message on the bus, so it'll be able to register the saga at that point. And the process of sending that email, while arguably done by Azure Service Bus and is a communication thing, it is part of the security life cycle thing, lifespan. So in short, not a problem for now, might be a problem for later, but my assumption is that anything that's important enough to have a saga will probably have a microservice in a way. It's strange, because while I'm doing this kind of stuff at home, although auditing is less, I'm like doing email stuff, we're kind of doing similar things at work again, because although mine's in a different kind of structure and whatnot, and using different technologies. We're doing something similar. So today at work, and tomorrow probably, we're going to be working at very rapidly setting up an auditing service. Like I say, I'm using a zero function to do that because I don't think it requires a service, but we're not using that. So although it's not service either, it's like a handler. Also registering sagas for arguably our account activation system as well. That's weird, because I've been working on mine for ages, but like we've just kind of redone ours. So how bizarre, we just like hit it at the same time. You know when you put your phone down somewhere and then you hear it vibrate and then you're like, what the fuck did I put it down? There it is. A pretty hectic day going on today as we were like trying to fly through stuff. I was trying to drag over all of the auditing stuff from the old world into the new world, updating things where we needed to go. We had the task down as an 8-hour task, and I'm like, I can do this in 4. And I did, until I realised that we had like this little helper thing, this like audit logger, so you could call the audit logger instead of like having to understand about the queue and all this kind of stuff. Really useful, but dragging it into the new world is not going to be easy because we're running in .NET Core, and the audit logger double wrote, and he's left friggin' fakes in it. So I've got to redo all the friggin' tests, which is such a pain in the arse. Because it was obviously like full .NET framework stuff, it was like nice and easy. Most of the other stuff's nice and easy to like migrate. All I need to do is basically update the asserts, move out the constructor, get rid of the rubbish about not having a constructor in unit tests, clean up basically, add comments. But no, Microsoft Fakes doesn't work with .NET Core. It's dead. It's a bad idea anyway. And the annoying thing is, it's using fakes. I know you're probably watching Dibble. It's using fakes for such a petty reason as well, which is like date times. I'm like, god damn it. You could have just put not null. God. Not null, I obviously mean not empty. But, god damn. Anyway, so I'm trying to figure that out. I'm going to have to plump in some time between another 2 hours or so. I might end up doing that tonight, to be honest with you, while I sort out videos as well. I'm also going to try and look into some time so I can jump ahead on a couple of stories, because like I say, our burn down chart's not looking great. We're ahead of the curve at the moment, and I think there's a couple of easy wins that I can do in later stories that we can basically, as soon as this is signed off, jumpstart those stories straight away. And I can do it relatively safely as well because it's in different branches, different sections of the project. I'm going to have a go. But it's like, I need to kind of figure out how to spend time on my own project at home, and yet also sometimes maybe when Laura's not looking, do a little bit of work for work at home as well. I managed to fit in shopping, sorted out a video, and I have done the vast majority of the work that I wanted to get done for work. There's just like, we've just got 2 stories left now. Is something moving up there, or is it? Is that light just flickering, do you think? I managed to bring over the thing that I missed while I was at work, and then I managed to hook it all in. I've left a little comment out being like, I believe that's all I need to do. It's like, what needs to be audited? I believe this is the only thing I can audit, because everything else is kind of audited by the queues, and it's all queue based, so I think I've done it, but I've just written a thing to double check, and I've started dragging over like the back end portion of the next thing that's working. The other guy in my team started working on the front end part, so I thought I'll do the back end part. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I can't concentrate much anymore. It's nearly 1 in the morning, and I'm like, right, okay, I'm done, I'm sick of this. So I kind of just tidied it all up, logged an hour, job done. I'm trying to make it obvious that like I'm logging this time. I've like commented on each one, like I've logged this much outside of work, because I don't want us to then start estimating work. I still want to highlight, I don't want to miss the sprint goal, but I want to highlight that we should have missed it, and we shouldn't have such an ambitious sprint goal next time, because we can't obviously continue to work like that. And what else did I do? And then I was just like, I'll just have a look at pull requests, because the other team have got pull requests, and tomorrow we're going to end up having a pull request and wanting to deploy to dev, and if they're in the way, then that's going to be very difficult. Yeah, I started looking at some pull requests, finished off my video, job done. Freaking basically done. And well, I've like since about 10 o'clock, so about 3 hours of work-ish. That's me. That's good fun. Right. We can have a day off tomorrow. I feel like I've done enough to reset. The burn down chart is like over the line and it goes poof, and I've just driven it back down towards the line. And then, like I say, hopefully tomorrow we can finish it off, get it all through test, and I've figured out what I can start while it's in test as well, the next story, to try and like aggressively start that while it's still in testing and before it's been signed off. But I think we were way too ambitious with the sprint goal. We shouldn't have done auditing in this sprint. It's what I've decided. It's a bloody beautiful day today, ladies and gentlemen. I love weather that can be described as crisp. Oh, it's so nice. This is like you wear a hoodie but you're cold weather, you know? Beautiful. Looking forward to my first proper coat outing of the year. I always look forward to that. And what else am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to my... Oh no, I'm not. I need to look for a new coat at some point. I need to buy a new coat because my old coat is battered and it's so old and it's not very warm anymore either. But I love it so much and I just can't find a good replacement because it's always the way. I always like things that aren't fashionable. It turns out all of that stuff I did last night, wasted of time, because yeah, we finished our story at like halfway through today, maybe about 11 o'clock, but we're now just blocked behind the other team until tomorrow anyway, so fucked it. The problem we have with a limited testing resource, both like computer resource and human resource, means that we can only test one thing at one time, and we're now blocked up until the point where they're finished, essentially. Well, as we went for a nice walk today, it's been a lovely day. It's been nice and like crisp and cool. So we went out for a walk. Laura had to pick something up from down the road, so we headed on out. And then otherwise, we've just been kind of chilling. We watched a little bit of TV, and then Laura went to bed, and I've been working on doing the service bus stuff, actually like putting things on the bus. I've got something that listens inside the project, inside the security project, but I need something that actually like puts them there in the first place, I guess. It's quite a lot different. I'm using mass transit, and it's the first time I've used mass transit before, and obviously previously I've always used I've always used N-Service Bus, or directly interfaced with Azure. Or what was the other one I've used? MSMQ. Oh no, that was via N-Service Bus as well. A couple of little nuances that are a little bit different, and I was just like trying to wrap my head around that and trying to figure out like the right structure of how to do all of that malarkey. I'm at the point now where I should be able to just kind of update. I've like threaded all the dependencies in, but I haven't made it do anything, so I'll have to start doing that tomorrow. And then once I've got it consuming, I can then start doing Azure functions. To be fair, I don't think I'll start that till like at least the weekend. And I think I might be pushing it too, because I've got quite a lot of identity stuff to throw in. But I accidentally let this video go on a little bit too long, but I nearly accidentally ran someone, obviously accidentally, you never purposely run someone over. Driving into work today, I nearly hit someone, almost to the point where they basically touched the car. But basically, here's what happened. I'm going up a hill. I'm driving up a hill. It's relatively narrow, but I can see two, there's like this woman is on the left, stood like roadside of parked cars, so she's like almost in the road already. She's looking up the road away from me, headphones on, looking at a phone, / I think glancing up to look at the other side. And you know when you look at something and you're like, I know what's gonna happen, I fucking know. As soon as I get close, she's gonna step out and walk across. I instinctively hover over towards the middle of the road, as far away from her as possible, and I start to slow down. Like I'm going up the hill, so I'm going as far as I can from you know what I mean, to still keep going up the hill, but like I'm gonna have to finish this story later in it. Sorry guys. I'm still going up the hill, but I'm ready to stop. And as I predicted, basically as I became in line with her, the car, she just kind of, in one fluid, she's looking like this at her phone, and then in one fluid just kind of goes like that and just steps, right? So in the time it takes her to turn and step, I'm like, I fucking hammered the brake. I'm like, I know it's happening, and I'm out loud, I'm going like, no woman! Like literally out loud. I stopped, and then in the amount of time it took her to move this foot right, and then like land there, I'd managed to stop, and then she essentially walked into the front of my car. It was kind of like, if you imagine this was me, right, imagine me, I've just pulled up here and stopped. She was essentially like this here, and then went like that, and then went poof, and then like that, and like shit herself basically. I stopped, I'm like, and like wound down the window, she just like walked around the back of the car and essentially like ran off. I'm like, you alright? And she didn't come back to me. But that was a fucking stressful scenario. And I'm like, I so knew it was going to happen. I knew, beyond all doubt, that this person was just about to step out on me. And I was basically like powerless. And I'm like, please don't. I did everything I could. But yeah, I don't actually know if she did, but she was like that, like she almost fell onto their car. I don't actually think she touched it, but yeah, I think she'll think twice about whether or not you should look. Bear in mind as well, like she's basically in the road, looking up the road. You know what I mean? Like, you know when you're in between two cars, but you're on the roadside, not the curbside. You're basically in the road already. So you haven't like got a foot to think about it. Like if you're on the curb and you went like that, like in theory, no one drives a stride away from the curb, in theory, but because you're in the middle of the road, you literally stepped right in front of me. And if I wasn't out to the side, I reckon I'd just hit you. So, Jesus Christ. Today we took the pragmatic approach with work. We finished a story yesterday and then got like blocked. So we decided that we were going to carry on and then while the other thing was going through test and through deployment and whatnot. And then when we became free to deploy, I jumped over, started doing pull requests and merges and whatnot. We're having a minor issue with, we're changing what it is that links the like user to their web account, which is an absolute bitch. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll just knock that together. And in the time it takes me, wait, what? And I'll just knock that thing together. Everything will be great. And then you know when you drop a stone into a like lake, and it just goes, it just ripples out. That's basically what happened. Otherwise, we were going to go snooker today, but which Eamon couldn't go, so we're not going. So we're going to try and go next week. But also next week, I'm also going to try and go see It at the cinema. So I don't really know. I'm going to have to cancel on one of them. I'm trying to fit one of them in. So I've already eaten. I've had pizza. Waiting for Laura to come home. She's at like a seminar thing. So I'm going to do some work because I like rushed home for snooker because I have to like head off quite early. But no need. Oh, I got a significant. Oh, this camera is just like fucking with me now because I've changed the battery. Got a significant amount of work done. In absence of other people's stuff. I should have another day like this tomorrow as well because Laura's got stuff to do tomorrow. So I should have a nice productive day there. Right, I'm heading off to bed. It's late. I shouldn't stay up this late. Thanks for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. I'll catch you later.